Numbers can be great, however numbers can also impersonalise the gravity of a situation. Numbers like 13,282, 685, 522 and 400. They're relatively large numbers, especially when you're talking about groups of people, which makes it difficult to think about each and every single number as an individual. 13,282. That is how many abortions were performed in 2018. When we hear that number, we recognise and know that it's a high and unacceptable number. However, when we break it down and personalise it, we begin to see just how horrific that number actually is. Please imagine the following. On this coming Monday, you go and visit a childcare centre where there are 36 beautiful little babies. You spend time with each one individually. Then on Tuesday, you visit another childcare centre and you get to mingle with 36 tiny, innocent babies, each one with his or her own individual looks and personality. In fact, every day of the week you continue to visit different childcare facilities, and every day you get to admire, observe and interact with 36 different beautiful children. In 1 week you've seen 255 precious children. That is a lot of children to interact with in 1 week, especially considering they're not from the same centre. In 1 month you will have met with 1,106 babies and young people. That's 30 different places you've been to in 1 month. 6 months, 6,641 little people you've met in over 184 different childcare centres. In 1 year, 13,282 beautiful, unique, special and vulnerable children you've met with in 368 different childcare centres. Now imagine this. Every single one of those 13,282 babies and children you've met dies. Every single one. 685. There's another large number. Sadly, it is also the number of suicides in the year to June 30, 2019. You see, it's not just 685 people lost to suicide. It's thousands and thousands of families and friends affected by the tragic loss of their loved one. For me personally, I see numbers relating to suicide differently from quite a few others. I do not see 685 as a group number. I can quite easily visualise 685 precious, loved, wanted individual people. 522. That is the number of people who died to suicide in 2010. One of those 522 people was my mother. The ripple effect from her suicide was massive. My family, my extended family, my friends and my friends' family were devastated. The amount of people that my mother's suicide affected was huge. There were 521 families, extended families and groups of friends that experienced, grieved, questioned and went through a long, tough journey similar to what I went through that year. We must not get lost in numbers, but look at each single individual person and the ripple effect that resulted from each individual suicide within the total number. We must not allow ourselves to be desensitised by large numbers. Every single life matters. 400. Not as big as the other two numbers, but still a large number as far as groups go. Imagine that every single one of those 400 people in the adjoining rooms are actually teenage boys. And every single one of those teenage boys has major issues. Some have been physically abused all their life. Some have seen their mother severely beaten up on a daily basis since they were a baby. Most come from generational cycles of abuse. Almost all come from broken homes. Most have addiction issues, with some having started smoking marijuana at age 8. Some have been sexually abused on multiple occasions. Some have fetal alcohol and fetal drug because their mother drank and did drugs while she was pregnant with them. Most of them are violent and have gang affiliations. And if that wasn't enough, just about every single one of those youth have large families who are just as broken as they are and who have had the same sort of upbringing as they have. In total, thousands and thousands of broken people from broken families. Now imagine once more that you have had every single one of those youth with all their issues and with all their families' issues live with you on a 24/7 basis over 18 years. That is exactly what my husband and I have done. We are specialist caregivers for Oranga Tamariki and have cared for over 400 high at-risk and behavioural teenage boys. We have seen it all and heard it all firsthand. Our governmental system is so unbelievably broken. I can tell you from a frontline perspective that things are not getting better, that families are not all healthy and thriving, and that in fact, things are actually getting worse. Every year, my husband and I see the aftermath from governments consistently introducing non-family friendly policies. Here's the exciting part. The part that will give you hope, as it has done for me. As you can imagine, strengthening families is so vitally important to me. As I've said many a time, my aim is to eventually be made redundant, to live in a New Zealand where we have happy, healthy and thriving families to the point where we have so few children and youth in care that I'm no longer needed to do the work I do. Basically, I'd be redundant. That would be amazing. Please note that I would not be involved in any political party that I did not believe had the answers to the problems families are facing today. I can say with hand on my heart that New Conservative has the answers, which has come about by creating policies that will work. These policies have been created by people on the front line, by people like myself and many others who see what's happening at the coalface and who see what does and doesn't and hasn't worked after years of failed policies from government to government. I am excited and I have hope. Our family policy is so robust. It includes multiple policies addressing multiple issues with multiple solutions. New Conservative is the party of solutions. We will genuinely work hard to ensure that issues that hurt and hinder families, such as abortion, suicide, financial struggles and so much more, are addressed with positive and productive outcomes. We will fight to protect the lives of families from the womb to the tomb. We are a party that genuinely cares about the holistic well-being of families, and we are a party who will represent everything based around strengthening families in Parliament starting this coming September. Finally, you may have all been wondering about this sign here. Approximately 2 years ago, we took on a teenage boy who was in massive amounts of trouble with the law. His family, very, very broken. His dad, nowhere to be seen, and a lot of his family are involved with the mongrel mob. He came to us with severe addiction issues and severe anger issues. He'd never really understood love or what healthy family looked like. His story was absolutely heartbreaking. In fact, he was a hardened criminal who could never remember crying throughout his whole life. Now he's part of our family, and he will be for life. When we told him we were committed to him for life and that he will always be our son, he cried on and off for days. He calls me mum, and he calls my husband dad. He classes our children as his siblings. This is what he made for us for a Christmas present. Out of everything he could have bought us, anything he could have given us as a gift, this is what he came up with. This is what matters and what he values most: family. We owe it to every single child and youth in this country to ensure that we strengthen families, to ensure that they have the loving and caring family they deserve. This is why I am with New Conservative, and this is why I am proud that one of New Conservative's key messages is strengthening families.